I stood at the back of the banquet hall, watching Ryan take the microphone. His engagement party was perfect. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, champagne flowing freely. I'd made sure of it. The $50,000 payment had cleared from my account that morning, though nobody here knew that. Ryan's voice boomed through the speakers. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. This celebration means everything to me and Jessica. He paused, his expression shifting. But I need to address something that's haunted me my entire life. My stomach dropped. Something felt wrong. 28 years ago, my mother died giving birth. My sister Lily, he gestured toward me, and 150 heads turned, killed our mother the day she was born. She's the family curse, the reason I grew up without a mom, the shadow over every achievement I've worked so hard for. The room went silent. People stared at me with disgust, pity, horror. My boyfriend Marcus stood beside me, frozen. I've forgiven her, Ryan continued, but I needed you all to understand the burden I've carried, the pain she's caused our family. I couldn't breathe. My phone buzzed, the payment confirmation. I just funded my own public execution. I ran to the bathroom and locked myself in a stall, sobbing while the party continued without me. 3 days later, Dad called. Family meeting at the house, Sunday at 2, everyone will be there. Hope flickered in my chest. Maybe they wanted to apologize, to explain Ryan's cruel speech. I arrived early, bringing pastries from the bakery Mom supposedly loved. But when I walked into the living room, I knew immediately this wasn't an apology. The entire family sat in a semicircle, Dad, Aunt Carol, Uncle Perry, cousins Brandon and Melissa, even distant relatives I barely knew. Ryan stood at the front with a laptop and projector. Thanks for coming, Lily, he said coldly. We've prepared a presentation. We're calling it the Lily Problem. For 2 hours they took turns. Ryan showed slides with family photos, each one analyzed for how my presence had damaged or disrupted family harmony. Aunt Carol cried about how guilty she felt every birthday, knowing Mom had died on mine. Dad talked about the financial burden of raising me alone, the therapy bills, the emotional cost. They voted unanimously that I should give Ryan space and skip family gatherings for a while. For everyone's healing, Dad said. I agreed through tears, too broken to fight. As I walked to my car, I heard Ryan's voice through the window. Finally, we can heal without her. Marcus texted me to meet at our usual coffee shop. I thought he'd comfort me, tell me my family was wrong. Instead, he sat across from me with the expression of someone about to put down a sick animal. That party opened my eyes, he said quietly, to how toxic your family situation is, the drama, the baggage. It's too much, Lily. But none of that is my fault. I know, but I can't marry into that. My family, asking questions, and honestly I don't have good answers. He reached across the table, not quite touching my hand. You're too damaged. You need to work on yourself before you can be in a healthy relationship. Marcus, please. I'm sorry, I really am. He stood up, leaving $20 on the table for coffee he hadn't finished. I hope you find peace. I watched him walk out of my life, the man I'd planned a future with. Ryan's speech hadn't just humiliated me, it had cost me the person I loved. I sat there for 3 hours, the coffee going cold, wondering how my life had fallen apart so quickly. The next day I saw Marcus's Facebook status change to in a relationship with a girl from his office. He'd already moved on. I'd been that easy to replace. Work had always been my escape. At TechCore Industries I was just Lily Harrison, mid-level designer. Nobody knew about my family drama or my real last name. I kept my head down, did good work, stayed invisible. But Monday morning people stared, whispered, someone had left a note on my desk, baby killer. I found my co-worker Jenna in the break room. What's going on? She looked uncomfortable. Someone posted something on social media about you and your brother, it's kind of spreading. I pulled out my phone. Ryan had posted a long essay on Facebook about growing up with a troubled sister and the tragedy that defined my childhood. He'd shared photos from the engagement party, tagged our hometown, mentioned my first name. People were connecting the dots. The post had 12,000 likes. Comments ranged from sympathy for Ryan to outright hatred toward me. She killed their mother and he still invited her to his party. He's a saint. Some people are just born cursed. I'd never forgive someone like that. My manager called me into her office that afternoon. Lily, we need to discuss some concerns about workplace morale. I knew where this was going. I was becoming a liability. The eviction notice appeared on my apartment door Tuesday morning. Landlord has received multiple complaints from family members regarding tenants' unstable behavior and potential danger to other residents. I called my landlord immediately. This is insane. I've never caused any problems. Your family called several times. Your brother seemed very concerned about your mental health. I can't risk other tenants' safety. My brother is lying. I'm sorry, but you have 30 days to vacate. I called Dad, desperate. They're evicting me because of things Ryan said. Can you please call them and explain? Lily, Ryan mentioned you might need intervention. Maybe this is a good opportunity to get help. I support whatever protects you from yourself. Protects me from myself? Dad, I'm fine. Ryan is orchestrating this. You're being paranoid. That's exactly what concerns us. He hung up. I sat on my apartment floor, surrounded by boxes I'd have to pack, understanding finally that my family wasn't going to save me. They were helping Ryan destroy me. I had 30 days to find a new place, but every rental application asked for references. Who would vouch for me now? The tech conference in Austin was supposed to be my professional breakthrough. I'd been selected for a panel on innovative design thinking, a huge honor. I'd prepared for weeks, bought a new blazer, practiced my talking points. Halfway through my presentation, a woman stood up in the audience. Jessica, Ryan's fiancée. I hadn't even known she was in tech. Excuse me, she said loudly, aren't you the sister Ryan Crawford mentioned, the one who struggles with delusions? The room went silent. The moderator looked confused. I'm sorry, what? Ryan Crawford, the marketing director at TechCore Industries. This is his sister. He's mentioned concerns about her mental stability. I'm just surprised she's on this panel given her issues. I don't have issues, I started. Perhaps we should take a short break, the moderator interrupted, clearly uncomfortable. Security appeared at my elbow. Ma'am, we're going to have to ask you to step down. I was escorted out while 400 people watched. Someone recorded the whole thing. By evening it was viral in tech circles. Unstable woman removed from conference panel read the headlines. My professional credibility evaporated overnight. The conference organizers issued an apology to the attendees for my disruption. Nobody apologized to me. Desperate and spiraling, I remembered Ryan had recommended a therapist months ago. Dr. Patterson really helped me process Mom's death, he'd said. Maybe she could help you too. I'd finally made an appointment, hoping to unpack the trauma of the past weeks. Dr. Patterson seemed kind at first, asking gentle questions about my childhood, my relationship with Ryan, my feelings about Mom's death. 3 sessions in, I mentioned the engagement party. It felt like Ryan was punishing me publicly for something I couldn't control. Dr. Patterson made a note. Have you considered that your perception of events might be distorted by your guilt about your mother? I don't feel guilty. I was a baby. Unconscious guilt can manifest in paranoid thinking. Believing your family is against you might be a projection of your own self-blame. Something felt wrong. Are you in contact with Ryan? She hesitated too long. I can't discuss other patients. But you are treating him. I grabbed my bag. Have you been telling him what I say in here? Lily, I think you're having a paranoid episode. Perhaps inpatient care would be beneficial. I ran. Later I'd find out Dr. Patterson and Ryan had been having monthly, family sessions, where she reported everything I'd said, framed through her diagnosis of my supposed mental illness. Even my therapy had been weaponized. Loneliness drove me to download dating apps. Maybe if I could find someone who didn't know my history, I could start over. I matched with a guy named Alex, nice smile, worked in finance, loved hiking. Our first date went well. He was funny, easy to talk to, genuinely interested. We made plans for a second date. The next morning he texted, I don't think this is going to work out, best of luck. The same thing happened with Brian, then with Carlos. 3 dates, 3 identical rejections. I finally asked Carlos what changed. I got some messages, anonymous, but they had links to posts about you, about your family. Look, I'm not trying to get involved in drama, okay? I traced the messages back to an account called Concerned Friend 247. The account had been created the day I downloaded the dating app. It had no other activity except messaging men I matched with. I showed it to my tech-savvy cousin Brandon at a coffee shop. He owed me. I'd lent him $5,000 last year. He looked uncomfortable. The IP address traces back to Jessica's apartment. I'm sorry, Lily, they're sabotaging you. Will you testify to that if I need you to? I can't get involved. Ryan would destroy me. He left without finishing his coffee. The phone call came at 2 a.m., Aunt Carol drunk and sobbing. I can't do this anymore, she slurred. The guilt is killing me, Lily, what we are doing to you. I sat up fully awake. What are you talking about? The group chat, protecting Ryan. We coordinate everything, who talks to you, what we say, keeping you isolated. Ryan convinced us you're mentally ill and vindictive, that you might hurt his career. My hands started shaking. How long has this been going on? Since the engagement party. Ryan said you needed boundaries, and we believed him. God, Lily, I'm so sorry. Then help me, come forward, show people the chat. I can't, Ryan would turn on me. You don't understand how he is when he's angry. I'm sorry, I just needed you to know I don't agree with it anymore. She hung up, but I'd recorded the entire call. It wasn't much, but it was something. Proof that I wasn't crazy, that there really was a conspiracy. I listened to the recording 3 times, Carol's tearful confession confirming everything I'd suspected. They were all in on it. The announcement came through the company newsletter. TechCore Industries announces strategic partnership with Crawford Marketing Group. Crawford Marketing Group, Ryan's company. Within 2 weeks everything changed. My projects were reassigned. My manager stopped making eye contact. Then came the meeting with HR. We're restructuring the design department. Your position is being eliminated due to poor cultural fit. Cultural fit, my performance reviews are excellent. We've received concerning information from a family member about your stability. We think it's best if we part ways. They handed me a severance agreement with a non-disclosure clause. Sign it and get 2 months' pay, or fight it and get nothing. I signed because I needed the money. Security escorted me out with my belongings in a box. In the parking lot I checked LinkedIn. Ryan had posted that morning, excited to announce our partnership with TechCore Industries. Big things ahead. He didn't even know I worked there. He'd accidentally gotten me fired while expanding his own career. I sat in my car for an hour, unemployed and blacklisted, watching my life crumble. Every job application I submitted was rejected. Ryan's partnership with TechCore had poisoned my entire industry network. My 28th birthday arrived like a funeral. I'd moved into a cheaper apartment, stopped answering my phone, spent most days in bed. The doorbell rang mid-afternoon. A certified letter from my family. Inside was a birthday card with kittens on it. The inscription read, "To our dear Lily." Then I opened it, an itemized bill. Funeral costs for Catherine Morgan, $12,000. Therapy for Ryan, ages 5-25, $85,000. Lost educational opportunities due to single-parent household, $150,000. Emotional damages, $100,000. Total amount owed, $347,000. A note in Ryan's handwriting, "You've taken enough from this family, time to pay what you owe." Attached was a letter from a lawyer threatening a lawsuit if I didn't begin payment plans immediately. I ran to the bathroom and vomited. They'd calculated a price for my existence, quantified my mother's death in dollars, sent it to me on my birthday. I called Dad. "Did you know about this?" Ryan showed us the numbers. They seem fair given the circumstances. "Fair? You're billing me for being born. You need to take responsibility, Lily." I hung up and cried until I couldn't breathe. Then I called a lawyer of my own. 2 police officers knocked on my door the following Tuesday. "Lily Morgan." "Yes." "We have a restraining order issued by Ryan Crawford. You're prohibited from contacting him, his fiancée Jessica Chen, or coming within 500 feet of either of them." "What? I haven't contacted them." The officer showed me printouts, text messages I'd never sent, emails I'd never written, threatening calls from my number at times I could prove I was elsewhere. All fabricated but convincing enough for a judge. "This is fake, he's setting me up." "That's for the court to decide. Violating this order is a criminal offense, do you understand?" I understood. Ryan had made me legally dangerous. Any family gathering I showed up to would result in my arrest. I'd become a criminal in my own family's story. That night I got a message from Brandon. "Just so you know, Ryan asked me to testify that you've been harassing him." I said yes, I'm sorry. One by one my family had chosen Ryan. I was completely alone now. Dad's heart attack came on a Thursday. Aunt Carol called me panicked. "He's at Memorial Hospital, it's serious." I drove 90 miles an hour, praying he'd be okay despite everything. I burst through the ICU doors and ran toward his room. Security stopped me. "Ma'am, you can't go in there." "That's my father." "There's a restraining order. You're not allowed within 500 feet of Ryan Crawford, who's currently in that room." Through the window, I watched Ryan hold Dad's hand, playing the devoted son. Aunt Carol, Uncle Perry, cousins, they all surrounded the bed, comforting each other. Dad's eyes opened briefly and he asked for Ryan. "Not me, Ryan's." A nurse approached quietly. "Your brother told us you're unstable and not to be allowed in. I'm sorry." I collapsed in the parking lot, sobbing. My father was dying and I couldn't even say goodbye because Ryan had made me a legal threat. Dad survived, but I never got to see him. Ryan sent me a message later. "Dad doesn't want to see you anyway, you stress him out." Grandma Helen died in her sleep 3 weeks later. She'd been the only person who was kind to me, who called on holidays, who sent cards. Her funeral was the first family event in months I was legally allowed to attend. The will reading happened at the lawyer's office. Helen Morgan left her estate to be divided equally among her beloved grandchildren, Ryan Crawford and Lily Morgan. My heart lifted. $200,000 and Grandma's house, finally something good. Then Ryan's lawyer stood up. "We have a newer will, dated 6 months ago." He slid it across the table. Mrs. Morgan revised her estate plan to leave everything to Ryan Crawford, citing his burden as the surviving child who has borne the family's grief. I grabbed the document. The signature looked like Grandma, but something felt off. "This is forged." "That's a serious accusation," Ryan's lawyer said calmly. "Do you have proof?" I didn't. The family lawyer examined both wills and sided with Ryan's version. The handwriting was close enough, and Ryan had 2 witnesses who signed affidavits. I lost everything, $200,000 and the house where I'd spent childhood summers. Ryan smirked at me across the conference table, and I understood he'd forged Grandma's signature without hesitation. "You've taken enough," he said simply. Jessica's podcast launched that fall, Surviving Toxic Siblings, Episode 1, When Your Sibling Blames You for Their Pain. They never said my name, but they described everything: Mom's death, the engagement party, Ryan's struggles with his narcissistic sister who can't take responsibility. "She made my life hell," Ryan said on air. "Every achievement I've earned she's tried to undermine. Every relationship I've built she's tried to poison. It's exhausting." The podcast trended nationally. #Toxic Siblings went viral. I received death threats from strangers. "You should have died instead of your mother. People like you don't deserve families. I hope you suffer like your brother has." I changed my phone number for the 3rd time, deleted all social media, started wearing hats and sunglasses in public. People recognized me anyway. Someone had posted my photo from the tech conference. A stranger confronted me in a grocery store. "You're that sister, aren't you? The one who ruined her brother's life." I abandoned my cart and ran to my car. The podcast had made me a national villain. Ryan and Jessica were heroes for surviving me. Ryan's wedding announcement appeared on Instagram 6 months later. The date made me sick, the anniversary of Mom's death. The caption read, "Turning tragedy into triumph. Mom would be proud of the man I became despite everything." Comments flooded in. "You're so strong, overcoming your past. Your sister could never break you." Jessica had commented, "Your sister could never break you, baby," with a red love heart emoji. I stared at my phone for hours, reading every comment, each one a knife twisting deeper. He'd chosen Mom's death date deliberately, the ultimate statement that he'd transcended the tragedy of my birth. Something inside me finally snapped, not into rage or desperation, into cold, crystal-clear determination. For the first time in a year, I wasn't sad. I wasn't broken. I was done. I made a phone call I should have made months ago. "This is Lily Morgan. I need to schedule a meeting about tech core industries. It's time to stop hiding." My lawyer's voice was surprised. Are you sure? Completely sure. He wants to destroy me. Let's see what happens when he finds out who he's really been fighting. My lawyer and financial advisor arrived at my apartment with thick folders. We spread documents across my dining table, 3 years of careful record-keeping. You've been the anonymous majority owner of TechCore Industries since you were 25, my lawyer confirmed. 62% controlling stake. You've been secretly funding Ryan's entire career. The documents were damning. I'd pulled strings to get Ryan hired, paid for his MBA through a scholarship I'd created, funded his apartment through an LLC I owned, even his engagement ring, purchased through a company expense I'd approved. His award-winning campaigns, my financial advisor pulled out more files. You hired ghost contractors to create them. Ryan just presented the work. Every promotion, every success, every achievement Ryan had bragged about, I'd built it all. His entire career was my construction, and I had receipts for everything. What happens if you reveal yourself? I asked. My lawyer smiled grimly. Everything he's built disappears. The job, the reputation, the credibility, all of it was borrowed from you. And if we restructure the company, you can eliminate any positions you want. You're the majority owner. The board answers to you. I looked at Ryan's smiling face in a framed photo from the engagement party, the last photo before he'd destroyed my life. Schedule a board meeting, I said quietly. It's time they meet L. Morgan. I spent 3 weeks preparing the presentation. Every payment I'd made for family expenses, Dad's medical bills, Aunt Carol's car, Uncle Perry's business loan. Every anonymous gift that the family thought was Ryan's generosity. Every pulled string, every manipulation I'd engineered to win their approval. The truth was pathetic. I'd been buying my family's love for years, and they'd given all the credit to Ryan. But the professional documentation was more damning. I'd hired contractors to create Ryan's campaigns, then let him present them as his own work. I'd manipulated performance reviews to justify his promotions. I'd created a fake career for him, propped up by my money and power. His innovative marketing strategies, written by a team I'd paid 6 figures, his industry connections, people I'd introduced him to anonymously, his natural leadership, carefully orchestrated scenarios where he couldn't fail because I'd rigged the game. Ryan Crawford was a fraud, and I'd made him one. I had proof of every manipulation, emails, contracts, payment records, testimony from the contractors I'd hired. Everything documented, time-stamped, legally airtight. My lawyer reviewed it all. This is bulletproof. Once you present this, his career is over. Good, I said. He tried to destroy my life. Time he learns what that actually feels like. The emergency board meeting was scheduled for Tuesday at 9 a.m. I arrived early, wearing a suit I'd bought 3 years ago when I'd first acquired TechCore, the day I'd decided to build something meaningful. Board members filtered in, confused by the sudden meeting. They knew L. Morgan as a signature on documents, a voice on conference calls, a shadowy figure who'd built TechCore from nothing. They'd never seen my face. I stood at the head of the table as the last board member sat down. Good morning. For those who don't know me in person, I'm Lily Morgan, founder and majority shareholder of TechCore Industries. The shock was instantaneous. Several board members actually gasped. The CFO looked like he might faint. I've called this meeting to discuss necessary restructuring. We need to eliminate redundant positions with poor performance metrics. I pulled up the presentation, starting with the marketing department. Ryan's face appeared on screen, his employee photo, his performance reviews, his supposedly award-winning campaigns. This employee has consistently taken credit for work produced by external contractors. I have documentation proving none of his major projects were actually his creation. I showed the contracts, the payments, the emails. The board sat in stunned silence. I propose immediate termination, all in favor. The vote was unanimous. The axe began to fall. Ryan was called into his boss's office at 11 a.m. He probably expected another promotion. He'd been dropping hints about a VP position. Instead, they fired him. Performance issues and discrepancies in work attribution, they said vaguely, as HR had instructed. His security badge was deactivated immediately. His company laptop was confiscated. He was escorted from the building by security. Jessica lost her PR contract the same afternoon. TechCore was restructuring partnerships, and her firm's contract wasn't renewed. I watched from my office window as Ryan stood in the parking lot, holding a box of his belongings, looking completely lost. He pulled out his phone and called someone, probably Dad. For the first time in a year, Ryan Crawford's golden boy status was gone, and he had no idea why. That evening, I had a courier service deliver a package to his apartment. Inside was a letter on TechCore Industries letterhead. Dear Mr. Crawford, this letter details every instance where TechCore Industries assisted your career. The letter went on for 3 pages, documenting everything. The final line read, "You're welcome. Your sister, Lily Morgan, founder and CEO." I imagined his face when he read it, imagined the moment he Googled my name and found my Forbes profile, imagined everything he thought he knew inverting. Ryan's world collapsed rapidly. I watched it happen through carefully placed sources, people who owed me favors, who'd been waiting for permission to tell me everything. Without income, he couldn't afford his luxury apartment. The eviction notice came from an LLC I owned, my signature at the bottom. His car was repossessed. The payments had been coming from a family trust fund that didn't exist. I'd been making the payments through an anonymous account. When I stopped, the car was gone within a week. Jessica broke off the engagement 3 days after the job losses. A mutual friend told me she'd screamed at Ryan for lying about his wealth and prospects. The podcast was deleted after TechCore's lawyers sent a cease and desist for defamation. Ryan's LinkedIn was flooded with questions. What happened at TechCore? Why the sudden departure? Can anyone confirm his portfolio work? Former colleagues, protected by anonymity, started revealing the truth. Crawford never did his own work. Everything was ghost-written. We all knew but couldn't say anything. His reputation unraveled thread by thread. Every achievement questioned, every success re-examined, every relationship suddenly re-evaluating whether they'd been fooled. Aunt Carol called me terrified. "Lily, please, I work at a company you invest in. Please don't fire me, I'm sorry for everything." "I'm not firing you, Carol, but I'm done pretending we're family." The group chat protecting Ryan exploded. Aunt Carol, desperate to save herself, confessed everything to the family. She forwarded me the screenshots, messages I'd suspected existed but never confirmed. Every gift they thought came from Ryan had actually been from me. The vacation Dad took last year, I'd paid for it through Ryan's credit card, then covered the bill. Uncle Perry's business loan, my money filtered through a bank Ryan supposedly had connections with, cousin Brandon's new car, a lucky raffle win I'd rigged. For 3 years, I'd been secretly funding the family's lifestyle, letting Ryan take credit, desperately hoping they'd love me if I made their lives easier. They'd given me nothing but cruelty in return. Dad called me, his voice shaking. "Lily, Carol told me everything. About your company, the money, what you've been doing for us." "You mean what I was doing, past tense. Your mother would be so proud of who you've become." Don't you dare talk about Mom. You let Ryan weaponize her death against me. You let him bill me for funeral costs. You chose him over me every single time." "I didn't know." "You didn't want to know, there's a difference." I paused. "The medical bills I've been paying, they stop now. Figure it out yourself." Uncle Perry called next, then cousin Melissa, then Brandon. One by one they apologized, begged forgiveness, asked if we could start over. To each one I said the same thing. I'll always be your family, but from a distance now. Ryan appeared at TechCore's building on a Thursday afternoon. Security called me immediately. "There's a Ryan Crawford here demanding to see you. Should we call the police?" "No, let him wait." He stood in the rain for 4 hours. I watched him from my office window, soaked, broken, pathetic. The man who'd orchestrated my destruction for over a year, reduced to begging on a sidewalk. When I finally left the building, he approached immediately. "Lily, please, I need to talk to you." "You have a restraining order against me. You claimed I was dangerous." "I'll withdraw it, I'll fix everything. Please just listen." His voice broke. He was crying, actually sobbing. "I'm sorry, God, I'm so sorry for everything. I didn't know, I didn't understand what you've been doing for me, for all of us. Please give me another chance." I looked at him with calm, sad eyes. The brother I'd loved, who tormented me, who tried to erase me from existence. I forgive you, Ryan, I said quietly. I really do, but I'm done saving you from yourself. You need to learn to stand on your own, even if that means you fall. Lily, please, I have nothing. You have exactly what you earned, which is nothing. I walked past him toward my car. Goodbye, Ryan. He collapsed on the sidewalk, sobbing. I didn't look back. The next 6 months brought a parade of apologies. Dad showed up at my office, then waited in the lobby when security wouldn't let him up. Aunt Carol sent flowers weekly. Uncle Perry wrote long emails I deleted unread. Jessica called once crying. I didn't know what Ryan was doing to you. If I had known. You helped, I said simply. The podcast, the sabotaging my dates, the conference humiliation. You weren't an innocent bystander. I believed everything he told me. He said you were dangerous, that you needed boundaries. And you never thought to hear my side. You never questioned why a woman you never met deserved that treatment. I paused. You were complicit, own it. I hung up. The restraining order was withdrawn. The lawsuit threat evaporated. Ryan moved back in with Dad, working retail to pay bills, his career in ruins. I heard through Carol that he'd tried to apply for jobs in marketing, but everywhere he interviewed, people knew his name, knew the story. Nobody would hire him. One night Dad called late. He's struggling, Lily. I know what he did was unforgivable, but he's still your brother. Couldn't you help him find work somewhere? No, I said simply. He destroyed my career first. Let him rebuild his own. When does forgiveness mean something? When it's earned. Ryan hasn't earned it yet. 1 year later, I stood in my new home office overlooking the city. TechCore Industries had gone public. My net worth was $50 million. The success felt surreal but real. I was dating someone named Alex, kind, honest, someone who knew my whole story and loved me anyway. Your family didn't deserve you, he'd said on our 3rd date. But I'm grateful they lost you, otherwise I'd never have found you. The spare bedroom had been converted to a nursery. I'd adopted twins through my foster care volunteer work, 2 kids who'd been abandoned by families that should have protected them. I understood that pain better than anyone. My phone buzzed. Another email from Ryan. Please, Lily, one more chance to make things right. I'm different now. I've learned. Let me prove it. I deleted it without reading past the subject line. I'd heard versions of this message 24 times. They all said the same thing. Ryan wanted something from me. The twins called from the living room. They needed help with a puzzle. Alex was making dinner, humming off-key in the kitchen. Through the window, the sunset painted the city in gold and orange. This was my family now, the one I'd chosen, the one that actually loved me. I smiled at the sunset, finally free from people who'd never deserved me in the first place. The woman they'd called a curse had become a blessing, just not to them. Ryan had tried to erase me. Instead, he'd freed me to become someone he could never touch again. I closed my laptop and went to play with my children, my real family, the one I'd built from love instead of blood. That was the only family that mattered anymore.